Hey guys, it is Andy, and today we have another palette tag video. This one is just called the palette tag, and if that's something you're interested in hearing all of my answers to, stay tuned. This is the look that we end up creating together using the ColourPop High Tide palette. All of my makeup that I'm wearing and all of my socials where you can find me will be listed in the description box, as well as all the relevant information for this tag video. If you like makeup unboxings with a little bit of horror sprinkled in, please consider subscribing, as I would love to have you here, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload. Let's go ahead and get into today's tag video. Alright, so we're just gonna go ahead and get into me doing my face as well as the palette tag. There's only 10 questions. So I'm going to do my best to tell you guys what I'm putting on my face, but if I forget anything, like I said, everything will be listed in the description box. But it's mostly all of my beauty A to Z project pan items or my Nightmare on Panning Street items. But this is the Uoma by Sharon Prime to Glow Illuminating Primer. So I'm just going to get that on my face while we do the first question. Well, before we do the first question, this palette tag was created by Lisa Lobotomy, which I will have tagged in the description box, of course. And I saw this done by, of course, Dub's Beauty Diary. That's who I see all my palette tags, basically, done by. So I will have her tagged in the description box down below, too. If you want to go check their channels out, see their videos that they have done on this as well, hear their answers, they will be listed in the top of my description. So, the first question here is the brand you have the most palettes from. And for me, that's ColourPop. I love ColourPop. I haven't bought anything from ColourPop in a while. I'm just getting the primer off my hand because texture. But I still want the Aurora Struck Mega Palette, but I just haven't had the extra money to place a ColourPop order. I didn't want the third Hocus Pocus palette, but I wanted that highlighter and the Jelly Mutt shadows. I wanted the Aurora Struck, almost the whole collection, honestly. I wanted, like, the highlight sticks. I wanted the palette. I wanted to try the glosses because I have never tried a ColourPop lip product. Ever. Any of them. Any of the formulas. I take that back. I've tried a ColourPop Ultra Blotted Lip years ago when I very first tried ColourPop, and I didn't like the shade, so I got rid of it. But yeah. But for palettes, because this is a palette tag, it's saying how many palettes do you have. From ColourPop, I have 23 palettes, which is a little ridiculous. For foundation, I'm using my NYX Bare With Me Serum Concealer in the shade Vanilla because I'm trying to finish it. We're so close. But I am going to do that. And I do use it with a sponge. But yeah, I also wanted their new collection, the Flirty Talk, I think is what it's called. Their new Valentine's Day collection. I don't have, even though, like, I love pink. Like, I used to wear pink eyeshadow all the time. And I honestly miss having pink hair. I really want to do, like, a pink root into this purple, and I love that it's fading into a little bit of pink at the ends here. I think that that's super cute, but I really wanted the Flirty Talk palette, and I really want some of those heart blushes and highlighters. So I think at this point there's enough things that I want that I could place a ColourPop order. I just haven't. It's been a while, but I absolutely love ColourPop. They're super affordable. I think if you're in the market for a monochromatic color story, that was originally why I started buying from ColourPop, because They were the go-to for a monochromatic color story, and I love their formula, and they're only getting better with time. They really are the fast fashion of makeup, which I know not everybody loves, and I don't love every collection that they come out with, but 9 times out of 10, I do enjoy it, and at least recently I've enjoyed a lot of their collections. So, question number 2 is the brand you have the least palettes from, but it had to be a minimum of 3 palettes. So it couldn't be any one-off brands, because I have a few of those where I just have one palette from the brand. But I only have a couple brands where I have exactly 3 palettes from. But the brand I picked for this was Natasha Denona. I only have 3 palettes. And I have 2 of the minis. I have the mini retro, which I bought from Sephora because I love the unique color story of it. I have the Jubilee that I got in BoxyCharm, which I actually really like the color story of, but I hate that the Jubilee palette has a bigger pan of vintage taupe, and the retro palette also has vintage taupe in it. I hate that so much, but it is what it is. And then, actually, I have 4 palettes. I didn't even think about it. I have 4 palettes. So I could have probably picked another brand, but I have 4 palettes from Natasha Denona. I forgot. I still have the pastel palette. That's my most recent palette that I have from her. I have the pastel, and then I have the sunset palette that I got when that went on sale at Sephora. So I definitely want to try more Natasha Denona. I want more of the midi size. I really want the retro and the retro glam. I love the color stories of those. I think that they are just beautiful, so I would love to be able to pick those up. And I honestly really like the look of a lot of the mini palettes. And I think the price point of the minis are just a lot better. For a brightening concealer, I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Flawless Brightening Concealer in the shade Fair 10C. I really like this concealer. I hate the brush tip, but it is what it is. For question number 3, we have the brand that you wish you had more from. And honestly, I could have listed so many answers for this because there's a lot of brands I want to try, but I tried to take this as a brand that I have a palette from that I wish I had more of. So the answer that I picked for this was Pat McGrath, because I only have one Pat McGrath palette, and I hate that I love it so much, because I literally, when I got it, I was hoping that it was just gonna be an okay palette. Like, I got this year's Christmas release, the Celestial Nirvana, and I was so gracious to get it from Influencer to review as, like, PR. And I hate that I love the palette so much. Like, it is honestly everything that people say it is. Especially, like, the shimmers. The mattes are just, like, run-of-the-mill. The neutrals were really, really beautiful. But the colorful shades, with the Celestial Nirvana had a lot of colorful shades. They were a little patchy, honestly. In my opinion. Like, in blending. Like, if you were just stamping the color down, they performed pretty nice, but they got a little patchy in blending. But the shimmers, they are some of the best shimmers in my entire collection. And it makes me really want, because I've been eyeing some of the Mothership Mega palettes for a while now, but I haven't been able to justify that $125 price. But now that I know how much I really do enjoy the formula, kind of really want it. I really kind of do. I'm really quick just going to set where I place concealer with my Aesthetica loose setting powder and translucent, and then I'm going to move into cream products. This also, if you just watched my base routine video, this is pretty much exactly what I did from that, so that's why I'm trying to just not talk too much about what I'm doing. For question number 4, it's what brand, the brand with the best color stories. And this was a kind of tricky question, I think, just because, like, I feel like so many brands, like, color stories come out more, like, in seasons. But the answer that I wrote down for this question in particular was ColourPop. Because, again, for me, at least in my opinion, they're the go-to for monochromatic color stories. You want an all blue palette? They got it. You want all green, all orange, yellow. You want to create your own with all of their pressed glitters. You want all purples, all pinks. You name it, I guarantee you ColourPop has done it, or you can create it yourself with their build your own palette. So I just think ColourPop is unmatched in their color stories. Like, are they revolutionary? No, not at all. But that's not what they're trying to do. ColourPop is very much, and people say it all the time, like they're a for the masses kind of fast fashion approach to makeup, but it's what sells. And it's what keeps people coming back. And, you know, like my staple palettes are all ColourPop. Because whenever I'm like, oh, I need to go buy an all blue palette, I'm like, no, I don't. I already have one from ColourPop, so why do I need to buy one from a different brand, you know? So that's my answer to that question. For question number 5, Fenty Beauty Matchstick Bronzer shade Amber is what I'm going in with now. Question number 5 is the palette you always wanted but never got. I'm so salty about this question, honestly. Because, like, I wanted this palette so bad, and I went back and forth on this palette. I will put up a picture of it here in case you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's the Urban Decay Stoned Vibes palette. I knew it was limited edition. And I wanted it full price. Didn't have the money, and I was like, it's fine, it's good. Even though it's limited edition, they had it for months. And I was like, it's going to be out for long enough for me to be able to get it. Like, I'm going to be fine. We are going to be okay. I'm going to be able to get my hands on it. Well, then it went on sale, and I was like, that's still fine. We can still work with this. Because now, I still want to pick it up because it was beautiful. It's, as I said, I'll put the picture here. But it's got 4 matte shades, which were whatever. That's not what I was getting the palette for. I was getting it for all those beautiful shimmers in the middle. And I've never tried an Urban Decay palette, ever. So I really wanted this. And then it went on sale, and I was like, that's fine. You know, the scarcity in me, because I did really want this palette, and I was going to pay full price. I just didn't have the money. So then when it went on sale, I was like, that's fine. I was a little scared, because I was like, I really want this, so I need to get it. But now, I can get it on a deal. It sold out so quickly. Like, as soon as it went on sale, it was gone. And I know I can find it secondhand now, but it's just not the same. And I might still, I just haven't, but that is a palette. Like, I don't get FOMO, the fear of missing out, too often, but that palette It's the one that got away. I'm going to go in with my Milani Sun Kiss Glow cream palette. I'm going to go in with the center shade on my finger first. For question number 6, it is a series you want with palettes and from what brand? Which this is perfect for me to be doing cream products because this is kind of a longer question. So I would love to see more horror-themed makeup. As you know, or if you didn't, if this is your first time here, hi, hello. I also do a little bit of horror content here. I do horror movie reviews. So, I love horror movies. They are my favorite movies. I love Halloween. I love spooky season. I love everything about just horror, gore, spooky thriller, psychological thriller. I love all of it. So, I would love to see more horror-themed makeup. Like, more collections. And what brand did I say? I think a brand that would do this really well, Melt. Melt Cosmetics. They did the Beetlejuice palettes, and I think that those turned out so well. Using the J-Cat Halo Glow Liquid Highlight in the shade White Goddess. Like, the way that Melt does their collections is just gorgeous. And I think, just from the buzz, because I've never tried a Melt palette, I think that they have a pretty good formula. I mean, I've heard there is a little bit of an inconsistency issue there, but overall, you know, most people are just, like, in love with their products, and, like, that Beetlejuice collection sold out. And, like, people are still wanting them to bring that kind of thing back. So I think if Melt did, like, a horror-themed collection, I think it would sell really well for the people who want it, you know? Just gonna powder. Oh, God, that was a lot of powder on my brush. I am just gonna real quick powder all the places that I'm not gonna put my powdered cheek products. I'll be right back. For bronzer, I'm going in with my Viseart Bronze Noi. So yeah, I think that Melt would do a really good job. I think that there's a lot of brands that would do a really good job, but that's just one that I think would appeal to more of the masses. That fits kind of their shtick. Like, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch for Melt to do more of a spooky, horror-themed collection. So, for question number 7, we have a palette you want to love, but don't. Ho-ho! Hoo-hoo! Oh, if you guys, I used to go live on TikTok every day, but I just got a little toxic over there, and it's a long story if you want to know why I stopped going live on TikTok every day. But I did a whole week's worth, I think, of looks with this palette. I did several looks with this palette. It was the Natasha Denona Pastel palette. I wanted to love it. I bought it secondhand, so I didn't pay full price for it. I got it off Mercari, which thank God, because if I had paid full price, I would have been even more angry. Because for me, it's just not a good palette. There's the cream to powder shades just are hard panned so quickly. There's only like 5 shades, literally, that I enjoyed out of the palette. it was just a bust for me, and I hated that because every other palette I've tried from Natasha Denona, I've loved. This is the NYX Sweet Cheeks blush in the shade Rose and Play. So I was really wanting to like her pastels, but it just did not translate. I'll put up a picture. I have the palette, but it would just be easier. I'll put up a picture for you in case you don't know what the palette looks like. But yeah, I'll put up a picture of the palette. But I wanted to love it. I wanted to love it so bad. I think the color story is absolutely beautiful, but I just did not. A palette you love, but didn't think you would. I will have to find this. This palette is linked in my link tree, which is in my description, but I will find a picture of it. This is the Delancey Aurora Glow UV palette. I have this. I have pan in mine. So the matte shades are Blacklight and UV reactive. The glitters are Blacklight reactive. The ones that have the chunky stars in them glow in the dark. It is such a cool palette, and like I bought it on a whim because it was like a $15 palette on Amazon. I'm going in with the Balm highlight in the shade Electric because I'm still undecided how I feel on this highlight. But I bought it on a whim because I was like, worst case scenario, if I don't love it, it was $15. Because I'm not huge for buying makeup off of Amazon. Because I don't know. It just weirds me out. But I've loved this palette. It creates the most fun looks. Like, I wear it if I'm going to be going to a bar that has a black light or something just cool like that. I love it for those kind of special occasions. It's just so fun. This is my Milani Gold Glitter Setting Spray. It's in a different container because mine broke. Oh, that does not taste good. Ugh. I still have 2 more questions, but I think I'm going to do the majority of my eye look off camera. I'll come back to do my loose pigment and my gloss, and we will finish up the last 2 questions. So I will be back in just a few minutes here, just a second for you guys. All right, I'm back. This is what I got going on for the eyes, but I am going to top it with my Pretties for Your Face Lustrous Dust in the shade Ghastly. And while I do that, question number 9 is a palette you wish had a part 2. Now this is gonna be a little controversial, so don't come at me for this. But a palette that I wish had a part 2 is Jeffree Star's Alien. 1, because he discontinued Alien. 2, the color story is so just unique and inspiring, in my humble opinion. I'm just using this as my inner corner highlight, because it just gives that extra shimmer. I know I love his products though, unfortunately, and I hate that I do, but I need to take the stopper out of that so it's not as messy. But I don't think the packaging for that was as crazy, hard to store, or bulky. I actually have it right here. Like, it is actually super flat. Like, yeah, the bubbly eyes are a little bit wonky, but this palette is honestly not that crazy to store as you would think. Like, I love that the alien mirror head flips all the way around. Like, this color story is just so inspiring and unique to me that I would love a part 2 of this. Especially because, like, you discontinued this. This is, like, one of your only palettes you've discontinued like that. Make a part 2. Make, like, an Area 51. Or a UFO. Like, a spaceship looking one, man, I'd buy it, and I know a lot of people would. I would love it. I've bought all of my Jeffree Star palettes secondhand, but like, I would get it. For my lips, I am going to go in with my Clinique High Impact Mascara in a second. And then for lips, I'm going in with the Queen Cosmetics Gloss in the shade Electric. And then for the final question is, have you decluttered a palette and regretted it? And yes. I don't have too many that I declutter and regret. Especially now, because I try to, before I declutter things, put them in a separate pile, give them some time, and then bring them back out and test them again before I fully declutter them. This gloss is so pretty. But I do have one palette that I regret decluttering. And I will tell you that in 2 seconds. I'm just going to pop off real quick, do mascara, and then we'll come back. I'll have the final look, because this is it. And I can tell you my answer. All right, so. And I'll pop a picture over here, because obviously I don't have it, because I regret decluttering it. But that is my Morphe Such a Gem. And I don't like most Morphe products. And I don't like most of their palettes, but I did really like this one. I like the purples. I really like, the mattes were pretty much garbage, but the shimmers were really pretty. And I tried depotting a bunch of them, but they fell apart. They were not, it was not a good idea. I tried to save the couple that I wanted to really keep, and that was not a good idea. So yeah, this is the palette that I do regret, but it is okay. I have other purples that I enjoy more. But yeah, this is the palette tag. I would love if you guys participated in this as well. All the questions, all the information that you need will be in the description box. And thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.